Alright, welcome guys. In today's video we're going to be installing all the wiring in the GTR. So here we have our Big 3 kit from Sky High Car Audio, and we also have the amp wiring kit. So I'm going to have to find space in the GTR where we're going to run these wires, because these are 0 gauge wires, so they're pretty thick. And here's our fuse. And also, Big 3 is 0 gauge as well. You can kind of see it. Is it focused? So let's get started. Here we go. And here's our battery. So this is where we're going to be doing a lot of the wiring. And then we're going to have to find a path to run those wires. Will probably come up underneath the glove box and probably run through the center. Or I don't know if there's enough room under these panels to run it to the side. So we'll see. And we gotta take out the factory sub. So I'm gonna start by removing this battery panel so we can get more space. And now we can have access to around the battery and find a hole we could run the amp wire through the firewall. Alright, so I got the battery out, and right behind the battery there's this little grommet that I could possibly use that goes into the firewall and run the amp wire through there, or I can possibly put a hole somewhere in here and run the amp wire through here with the wiring with the other wiring harnesses. So I started taking apart this little panel down here, and it leads to the wiring harness that we saw up here. And I had put the flashlight down there, and you can see the light coming through this hole. So I think that's where we're gonna run our amplifier wire. And you can kind of see it through the dash, right in there. So I think that'll be a good spot. Okay, so as I'm disassembling the car, I'm thinking it's gonna be easier for me to run the amp wire along this side actually instead of through the center, because there's actually a ton of space on this side where I can run the wires all the way to the back and into the trunk. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I started taking apart the back seat, and to take the bottom out you just pull this little tab and then lift up, and then the bottom of the seat comes out. And then for the back of the seat, you just undo this little screw and then push it up, and then that comes out. Then we got the middle cover, and here's the factory sub that we're taking out. This is the 2 Bose subs in there. And we stripped the trunk of all the panels, so now we have a clear understanding of where we could run our wiring. So I got the wire ran through the wiring harness grommet that goes into the firewall behind there, and it fell right through up under the dash, and I got it ran along this edge like we planned, because there was a ton of room down there. And it's gonna run along the quarter panel to the back and then to the trunk. Alright, I just got the fuse mounted, and I put it right next to the battery. Right tucked away under there. So, looks good, kinda out of sight. And when the cover's back on, you won't even see it at all, because the cover goes like that. Alright, I got the factory subs taken out, and here's the plug that goes to the amp. And I was probing the wires, or not probing them, but using my voltmeter to find out which one is which. So the reds are 12 volt, the black is ground, and then these two here, these two colored ones, focus, yeah, these two colored ones here, the pink and blue, are my signal wires, and then this white one is my trigger that I'm going to use for the amp. Well, actually, it's going to go to my audio control line output converter, which is over here. We're using the LC2i Pro because this has the AccuBase, so it can correct any factory roll-off we might have in our signal from the head unit. So I got my wires crimped for the audio control line output converter, and then I also got my ground wire hooked up right there to that post, making good connection. So I think I'm just gonna connect everything really quick just to test, just to make sure everything works, and then we could clean up the wiring and make it look pretty. Alright, welcome back guys. It's a new day and we made some progress on the build. I actually decided to take out the audio control LC2i Pro because that device is more for bass that needs to be restored from factory units that roll off bass as you turn it up. So what that means is some vehicles, when they have an audio system from factory, when you turn up the volume, the bass volume actually decreases or doesn't turn up anymore. And the audio control kind of boosts that signal back up. But with the GTRs, that signal that we pull, it actually has like a, you could kind of say like a subsonic filter or a high pass filter at 45 Hertz. So anything under 45 Hertz is not really being played. So to counter that, I actually decided to switch to the WaveTech Link DQ, and that's basically an equalizer where you can set whatever frequency you want and boost it. So I have it set all the way down to 30 Hertz and turn that up so that with the factory signal, it's gonna boost anything that's actually being rolled off. But when I had done all of that, I still wasn't really happy with how everything sounded. So what I'm gonna do is actually go ahead and get the T-Rex Tech Apple CarPlay unit. So now with the radio upgrade, I won't need to use any of that stuff. I'll be able to just use the RCA pre-outs directly coming from the radio, and that'll give me a nice full range signal.